I feel like I need to start out this video by saying that neither the book nor the movie are for the faint-hearted. They definitely come with a long list of care warnings, so make sure you check those out before thinking of attempting either of these. But welcome to my book versus movie for Cherry. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box below you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads, where I review most of the things that I read. I will leave a playlist of my previous book versus movie videos linked up above, because there have been a lot of them recently, and as always, I completely understand that when an author signs over the rights to their book, they are opening themselves up for everything about that book being changed. It's just the idea that they sell, but I like looking at the similarities and differences and bringing them to you here. So yes, Cherry is not the kind of book I would usually pick up. I'm not very into, you know, deep and gritty type of books. But when I found out that A, it was going to be made into a movie starring Tom Holland, and B, that it was a semi-autobiographical book, that is what kind of spurred me to pick it up. So I think if it hadn't have been being made into a movie, I wouldn't have picked it up. And I did listen to this one on audiobook. I will say that the audiobook does that thing that I'm not so keen on, where between the different sections of the audiobook we have a little bit of music play. But that is one of the big similarities with the film. So Cherry is often used for, you know, like pop your cherry, lose your virginity. But in the case of Nico Walker's book, it's to do with like sort of a new stage in life. Often, you know, we talk about that losing your virginity being like, oh, now you're a man, or now you're a woman, and what have you. So it's like a new stage in his life. And so each section of the book and the film is like a new stage in life. And the other way the film sections out very similarly to the book is the fact that we have a prologue, and then we have the different sections, and then we have an epilogue. So it really is giving a nod to the fact that this is based on a book. I will say, however, the book itself does not have an epilogue. Obviously, this book was not published yesterday. It's been around for a while, and so the making of the film is going to have a little more hindsight than the writing of the book did. And so the epilogue of the movie itself, and this is probably the biggest difference between the book and the movie, the epilogue of the movie itself does not exist in the book. And so we have this epilogue that we didn't get with the book. The book is very much an abrupt ending, and this is not spoilery. These reviews are always spoiler free. The fact that we get more of an ending in the movie than we do in the book. However, I really enjoyed the fact that we got a little bit more ending in the movie than the book, because I do know that, you know, we've got a few more years on the book with the movie, and so the author Nico Walker will have had a few more years of his life, and so it was interesting to have that reflected on the screen. A lot of people have criticised the casting of Tom Holland as Cherry, or Nico as we know him to be. He's never actually named in the book or the movie, but because we know that this is semi-autobiographical, we're assuming that he's Nico, or we're assuming that he's called Cherry. And I really am behind his casting, because for me, I think I look at this kind of journey of somebody starting out their life, making some wrong choices, falling into a bad crowd, joining the army, suffering from PTSD, and then all that follows. Again, no spoilers. I think because I am a teacher, any of this kind of story, I see that potential in that young person at the start of the film. And it was exactly the same when I went to watch Ned's, which is a very sort of similar story but set in and around Glasgow, and I went to watch that and I literally cried the whole way through because I could see this potential in this young person, and I could see them making the choices that they were making every step of the way and getting deeper and deeper into a stage where they couldn't claw themselves back from it. And so I think the fact that we are used to seeing Tom Holland as this like fresh-faced individual just adds kind of believability to that character. At the beginning of the film, I'm like, okay, right, we're doing this. Or the beginning of the book even, I'm sort of invested in the character. The beginning of the book, we know how things are going to end up because it kind of starts at the end, whereas the film itself is a little bit more chronological. But yeah, we kind of know where it's going, but it's even more upsetting because they've cast such a young person, and because they've cast the kind of person who normally plays the good guy role. I mean, you can't really equate Tom Holland, you know, shooting up heroin, and Tom Holland voicing Ian in Disney Pixar's Onward. It's not the same person. And I think, you know, people have sort of criticised that casting, but I'm like, that allows him to show off his ability because he is able to do all of this. And I thought that the casting compared to the book was really good. I feel like in the book, Emily comes off like a little bit more grittier than she does in the film, and I think that might be down to the casting. I think, again, similarly, it's a young person with a lot of potential, and she's very, very beautiful and very sort of fresh-faced and baby-faced. And I think in the book, I felt like she had a little bit more of a backstory herself and a little bit more grit and life to her. Whereas in the film, she's very, very like fresh-faced. We get to see her parents. We never see Tom Holland's parents. And so I think that whilst I totally believe them as a couple, I think that the casting was maybe like went a little bit too the same casting as Tom Holland, which I don't know, like it's definitely a direction to go in, but I feel like in the book she came off a little bit more raw and a little bit grittier. So that's just my personal feeling. There are a couple of characters in the film that seem to be a little bit of an amalgamation between a few of the characters in the book. So we don't have, you know, as many people go off to Iraq. We don't have as many sort of friends mentioned in the film as we do in the book, but I feel like some of those characters were kind of three characters rolled into one, and I think that that often is the case when we have a movie adaptation. The movie adaptation is 2 hours 20 minutes, and the audiobook was basically just over 7 hours, and so, you know, that's how much you have to condense it. There's not a lot of details that are left out, because as always, rather than having to describe what the scene in Iraq was like, or what the scene in their house was like, or what the scene when, you know, crimes are taking place was like, obviously it literally can be seen on the screen. And I think that the directorial choices and the cinematography and the kind of like lighting and shooting of things, I think was done really, really well. To me, it was like we took the book, which is, you know, beautiful lyrical writing, very kind of raw experiences, very matter of fact about the bad things that happened to him. And that is, you know, a very like three-dimensional thing in your mind. But then the film kind of takes that and uses, you know, use of color and use of expanse, and really kind of like deepens it and brings it to life in the way that you want every movie adaptation of a book to do. I was really impressed with the cinematography from the word go. I was like, this is stunning. This is like really high quality. And I think that a lot of the directorial choices, you know, the Russo brothers are being really criticized for this film. Like, they shouldn't have done this. They shouldn't have kind of like stuck with an actor that they knew and done this. But I really think that they've kind of locked into the essence of what the book is about and the essence of what Nico Walker was saying when he was writing the book. And so in my personal opinion, they've taken that and they've really run with it, and they've, you know, used color. Sometimes we're in black and white, sometimes we've got these red screens, sometimes it's a very, very like bright day, sometimes we see a lot of like leaves and trees when, you know, drugs are taking place. And so for a film that is as gritty and as violent and as kind of like uncomfortable as it is to watch, it really can be quite beautiful. And similarly with the book, I felt the same way, that you know, the book has a lot of, you know, war and drug taking and violence and not nice things, and the film does leave out some of the times when our main character is not with Emily. He does have some other dalliances in the book that I didn't like a whole lot, but the way he writes about it and the way it's very like matter-of-factly explained, and kind of he thinks about the reasoning behind his choices as well. I think that the film's done a good job of picking that up and kind of like bringing it to life on the big screen, and I was quite impressed with it. And as somebody that doesn't normally, you know, watch a whole lot of films and read a whole lot of books about people going to war and suffering from PTSD and then becoming a drug addict, I quite enjoyed it, and I would recommend it. I enjoyed the film, and if you have access to watch it via Apple TV, I will say I watched part of this on the iPad and part of it on the iPhone, and it looked great on both. It even, I would say, possibly looked even better on my phone than it did on the iPad, because obviously it's Apple TV. It's meant to look good on your Apple products. So little recommendation there for that. So I feel like this one had quite a lot of detail for it being so similar to the book. I don't know. I think just because we got that extra epilogue with the film, if I had to choose, I would pick the film over the book. But that's the main reason behind it. And I also really like the cinematography that came along with it. And I thought they did a good job of casting. So there you have it. That's my final thoughts. As always, if there are any book to movie adaptations you would like me to read and watch and share my thoughts with you here, let me know in the comments below. There have been so many that have come out recently. I do have a bit of a backlog, so I will get to them eventually, I promise. I will be back with another bookish video for you very soon, so make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on that. And I will be back with another movie review for you at the weekend, so I will see you then. Thanks for watching.